What about some of the new technologies, the sampling and all that stuff? I mean, there's big controversy over that, if that's sort of ripping people off, if the, you know, when you sort of sample someone's riff and lay it in on another album.
I think sampling someone's riff might be ripping them off.
I don't think that's often done. I would have thought sampling tends to be the sampling of sounds. But I mean, I think that you could argue that you own the rights on a sound that you've developed yourself. But basically, once someone's done it themselves, it's an old sound. You know, the interest I think in sampling is the most interesting areas tend to be in making up new samples, making up new sounds, perhaps using the basis of someone else's sound and then developing that by adding other parts to it.
We found most of the sampling stuff, not all of it, but a lot of the sampling and the stuff like that makes the early stages and what actually is recording, but you could call pre-production or demoing. But these days there's no real difference. But I mean, we used a computer to record MIDI information, and we used that to control sampled drums on an Akai sampler, and it just meant that we could create a very close facsimile of what we were trying to get to very quickly and easily, and then start building it from there. And we generally replaced the drums later and replaced other things later, but I find it amazing. It's great to be able to use all that stuff, because you get very much closer, very much quicker to what you're trying to create.
How about how long did it take you to construct the whole album, as you're saying, piece by piece, and with people in different countries and different parts of the world doing different things?
Well, it wasn't. No, that makes it sound slightly sort of piecemeal. Which that was really towards the end of it. We all got a bit more spread out. But I think the basic
we were about
work,
5 months in England working in the studio, and yeah.
6 or 7 months in
It
England.
was from last September till the end of March, I guess. Yeah, and then we went to LA, basically just to finish up. But of course, when you just go to finish something up, you suddenly discover you actually need to do quite a lot of it again, yeah, in the normal way.
Is all the material new stuff, or is it stuff that some of it been sitting around for a couple of years here or there?
Most of it is under 2 years old. One bit that's actually 10 years old, but part of it was actually recorded 10 years ago.
What are your writing habits, if you mind me asking? Are you the kind of person who goes for a deadline, you know you're going to do the album, so you sit down and write, or are you always sort of writing? And
no, I stockpile millions and millions of little ideas, and when I'm going to start doing something, I tend to go by myself into a studio and start picking things out of these ghastly little demos, which usually last only about 10 seconds, and tie them together and make sort of improved studio demos, which still don't take very long. They're only sort of an hour or so to put together, but
did you finish that thought, or do you have more to say about that?
I'll do a tiny bit more.
Okay. Ready? Okay.
Rolling? Yeah. No, and the lyrics are pretty much the same thing, where I jot down in a notebook. I have a little notebook, which I then... Do you like the sound effects? They're testing jet engines outside the wall here. It's great.
Sample it quickly.
Quick. Sample, yeah. And I then sort of the same with that. I move tiny little bits of lyrics from my notebook and stick them into a word processor and start carrying on from there. So it's usually, sometimes, you know, I mean, occasionally you sit down and you go strum a guitar and the whole thing arrives in one go, but that's not very common.
The video was shot here yesterday, correct? You guys were shooting a music video here?
We got the choruses done yesterday, yes.
Now, is this video going to feature you guys? I mean, a Pink Floyd video we haven't seen you guys in an actual Pink Floyd video. Is this one going to be different than
For
that?
quite a while.
Yeah. Is this going to be, or tell me a little bit about what we're going to be seeing in this video, sort of performance-oriented?
Is it it's not really performance-oriented.
A little bit, a snatch of performance.
You're so impatient, you people.
Hmm?
You're so impatient.
We are?
Yes.
Well, we like to know what's going to happen before it happens. I mean, hey, you know.
No, it's much more fun to wait and see it in all its majesty when it arrives.
Okay, all right.
That's Dave's way of saying we haven't a clue at the moment.
It means it's sort of when it's all there, you say, I like that shot, I like
More or less.
Do you guys like music videos at all? I mean, do you like the aspect of being up there in front and sort of performing to your
Is this
song?
What, the
TV?
truth or?
Is it-
You can
this
speak
we
the truth,
really
even though
like
it's
it.
MTV.
Yeah.
You can speak the truth.
Shall I go first?
If you like, yes.
I think there are a few videos that I really like that I think sort of transcend the run of the mill and actually enhance the music. The problem with video is that it restricts the viewer's imagination. That suddenly, all they can think about is that image that's presented to them. Having said that, live videos obviously aren't affected by that, but there's something unsatisfactory generally about sort of TV size mega productions live. I mean, the worst ever music video was probably it's all right. It was probably Walt Disney and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I mean, anyone who's ever seen that will never be able to hear that piece of music again without thinking of those stupid brooms with their buckets of water. And I mean, there's the sort of, that is I think the best example of what I mean. But having said that, I mean, there's a video, the one I particularly like at the moment is the John Lennon, the Imagine one of the passing through the room, through the rooms.
Do you like being in front of the camera? I mean, are you comfortable in front of the camera, or is that
No.
something?
No.
Not very, a bit self-conscious.
Yeah.
I like the Jill Jones one the best this year. I thought it was great. Jill Jones's video, MTV wouldn't play it.
We get like that sometimes.
I know. Terrible. Kept trying to watch to see it, and all I got was bleeding heavy metal over it again. Cinderella and fucking Poison.
Well,
Which
I don't
you ought
watch
to be.
those, but that's another story. Another question I want to talk to you about, just a little bit of a different subject, is we're doing this piece on hearing loss and in
Pardon?
rock and roll. And does it ever affect? We know, we've talked to some fans. How about you guys up on the stage for years and in recording studios and all? Has it ever been a problem with either of you?
No.
No, I've had my hearing checked fairly regularly because I was quite interested in whether it was going to drop off. And it seems to be normal.
Mine's fairly normal. It's perfectly good as far as I can tell. I've had it tested. I read a thing that a doctor on this stuff wrote once who said that if you started off in these things when you were very young, like we did, and the levels when we started were not anything like what they were, and gradually over years and years and years the level built up, you actually gain some sort of muscular defense system in the ears that counteracts it. Whether it's true or not, I've no idea, but it certainly makes me feel happy at carrying on.
Has anybody ever complained about you guys, about noise? I mean, either in an outdoor stadium
constantly.
or fans or anything?
No.
Well, people, it's kind of inevitable. A little less these days when PAs have flown up the top, but certainly in the old days when the PAs were stuck on the edge of the stage. I mean, you're trying to make people 200 yards away hear what's going on, and there are people sitting 5 feet away from it, and I can't. I mean, I wouldn't.
I
You
must say,
couldn't pay me enough money to sit down in front of some of those
absolutely.
PAs.
I tend to find the sort of listening levels that other people like in live music extraordinarily high.
Don't look at me.
Speaking of front rows, this show seems to be one of those shows, just from looking at the stage here, that you wouldn't want to be in the front row because you're sort of going to miss the whole overall feeling of it. Where do you think would be the best place to sit? This is trying to get the kids who have the tickets in the back to feel okay.
The drum kit, sitting there is a great place to watch it from.
Just in front of the mixing desk is actually usually the best place because you're in the best equal position from all the quad stations and stuff like that, and you get a perfect front view. I mean, you're getting it as close there to what the sound man and the lights man are trying to create a perfect thing. That's, if you're as close to their position, is where it's going to be the best, really.
But if you
Thinking of selling
if you
seats
like-
actually in the mixing area this time.
if you like that sort of thing, I think actually probably the front. If you're the sort of person that likes front seats, you probably would quite like the sort of treatment you get. It's a sort of musical mugging, I think.
Don't forget your shades.
Theater of cruelty. If we could talk for a minute about Roger, if that's...
I knew this had come up.
well,
You've been done for it.
just a couple of the quick things.
Okay.
He's on the road performing a lot of the same material, or I don't know if it's the same, but Pink Floyd material.
Yeah.
What are your feelings about that?
Well, anyone can play anything they like. I mean, he's perfectly entitled to play them, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Do you feel at all, what are your feelings about playing maybe some of the songs that he has written? You said you were going to try not to,
whatever Pink Floyd material, it was created by all of us, whatever the writing credit says, there's a lot more to it than that. I feel perfectly comfortable doing, playing things. We haven't as yet had to do anything which I didn't sing originally on the record or anything, so none of it is feeling uncomfortable from that point of view. So no, it feels fine.
Now, fans seem to be responding overwhelmingly to your tour. He's just not doing that well. His album is sort of dropping off, and yet you're both performing Pink Floyd material. What do you see as any reason for that other than?
Well, the reason is that we've all spent, he spent over 20 years, I spent nearly 20 years working on building up the Pink Floyd name. It's, I mean, if you liken it to basic crass sort of advertising, it's, if someone left Coca-Cola and started up his own soft drink company with the same recipe, it wouldn't sell as many. It's just, it's very simple.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think you will ever not get back with him, but will be a reconciliation? Are you at all friendly with him? Is there a big gap between you guys and him?
We're not at all friendly, really, at the moment. I mean, it's very difficult to remain on good terms when someone's trying to completely fuck you up, Put bluntly.
I can understand that.
Put that in another way.
Shall I put this another way? When someone's trying to screw your life and career up, it's hard to stay friendly on that.
Okay. Comments on Dark Side of the Moon. 693 weeks now on the Billboard chart.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever pass that, and it'll probably never drop out. What are your feelings about the album today, if you ever go back and listen to it?
It's a good record, very good. I mean, like I've said countless times, I've never really fully understood what made it that much better, or if it is that much better than a number of other records which were quite sort of momentous in my life or other people's lives. And Sgt. Pepper is what people talk about as the sort of the be-all and end-all of albums, but that hasn't been on the charts for centuries.
Yeah. Do you feel now that it's just one of those things that's just going to perpetuate itself, that people are always going to say, we have to keep it up there? It's one of those things that people like to see going?
I don't think people go in the stores and buy it because they think they've got to keep it in the Billboard charts. No.
It's a wonderful idea. I mean, that people feel obliged to keep this damn ball in the air.
Just write to my mum and tell her to stop wasting her money.
Do you think that was one of the highlights, or is that the highlight of Pink Floyd so far because of that? Or
there's many different ones. I think I prefer Wish You Were Here to that myself.
I must say, I think one of the things we've been very lucky with as far as the Dark Side of the Moon is concerned is that it doesn't seem to have inhibited us being able to carry on and bash out other records. I mean, one tends to sort of think of people like Procol Harum and Whiter Shade of Pale, where that really hung around their neck like a millstone for an awful long time. And it was a good band, they've made other records and so on, but that really was the reference point the whole time. I mean, although Dark Side is still on the charts, we don't actually seem to be that bothered. I wasn't meaning by ourselves, but people are interested in the phenomena, but they don't say, oh, well, they've never made a record as good as that since. Because in a way, it's perhaps, I think some of Dark Side of the Moon is historically interesting rather than